Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Banished Naruto found love with Ino, Anko, Yugito, Temari and Haku, Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. They had done it. Naruto, Shikamaru, Kiba, Neji and Choji had actually completed the Sasuke retrieval mission. Riding back to Konoha on a summoned toad almost the size of Gamabunta with orange skin matching Naruto's jacket with blue flame-like markings around his body. The toad was wearing red samurai armor fitted for a toad in space for a large weapon on his back, which was currently being filled by passengers. Naruto was happy. He had completed the mission, saved one of his best friends from betraying the village for power, kept the promise he had made with Sakura, and, best of all, no one was killed during the mission. After a while they had arrived back at the village gates. Naruto created 4 shadow clones to carry Sasuke, Kiba, Neji, and Choji due to their injuries and dismounted from the toad. Do you want me to stick around for a while, Naruto-kun? The large toad asked. Nah, you don't have to, Gamachujutsu, it's not like anything bad is going to happen, right? Naruto asked, smiling his goofy smile up at the huge toad. No, I guess not, but should things turn ugly do not hesitate to summon me. Do you understand? Gamachujutsu asked with concern in his voice. Ah, you worry too much, you oversized wallet. Naruto said as he patted Gamachujutsu on the leg. I have the right to worry, Naruto-kun. I swore an oath to your father to protect you if you ever signed the toad contract. After all, I was your father Minato's first summon, Gamachujutsu said with pride. Okay, well, I'll see you later. Naruto said as he waved goodbye. Take care. The large toad said, and in a huge poof of smoke the giant toad was back in the summoning realm. As they started walking to the gates, a group of medical ninja led by Kakashi exited the village and ran to the returning team. Did you get him? Kakashi asked as they reached the team. Yep. One of the Naruto clones said happily as he handed Sasuke over to one of the med ninjas. That's a relief. Well, come on, Naruto and Shikamaru, the med ninjas will take the others to the hospital. Kakashi said as the medical team carried the wounded team and the traitor Sasuke to the hospital. As they entered the village, many of the civilians gathered around to see if the team had completed the mission. Naruto was expecting applause but instead heard something that made him cringe. Hey, you damn demon! Look what you did to the Uchiha! An angry villager yelled. Yeah, another yelled. Then it started. Cursing, yelling, even some people were throwing rocks and bricks. Shikamaru could not believe what he was seeing. Naruto had just risked his life to bring back Sasuke, and this is how they repaid him. Naruto was stunned but couldn't say he was very surprised. I thought if I brought him back people would start respecting me more, but instead they hate me even more. If this happens every time I do something good for this damn village, then maybe it's not worth sticking around. Naruto mentally slapped himself. No, I have to stay and protect my precious people. I promised myself that I would protect them and I never go back on my word. Naruto was brought out of his thoughts when he saw Sakura walk out of the crowd and walk towards him. Sakura-chan, I did it. I brought back Sas. Smack. Naruto looked up to Sakura. Sakura, why did yo? Smack. How dare you hurt Sasuke-kun, you stupid idiot, it would have been better if you had just died. Sakura screeched as she smacked him again. Naruto felt as though his heart had just been ripped out of chest. That damn whore, you just going to sit there and take that brat? Kyuubi roared from within his prison. Ever since Naruto had learned about the Kyuubi, said demon had been helping Naruto train. Not that the Kyuubi really enjoyed it, but when you were locked up in the stomach of a 12-year-old, what else were you going to do? Shikamaru was shocked at what he had just heard come from Sakura's mouth. Lee, who had been dropped off by the sand team and had waited by the gate for the team, realized his views of Sakura were far off the mark. Sakura was not the most beautiful person he'd ever seen, maybe physically, but underneath she was the worst example of complete unyouthfulness he'd ever had the misfortune to meet. And even though 3/4 of his face was covered up, you could tell Kakashi was shocked. Summon Gamma Chujutsu and tell him to hack up these damn worthless villagers. Kyuubi growled, or better yet summon Gamma Bunta, yeah, he'd wipe them all out. No Kyuubi, I want to but I can't. This is the place where all of my friends live, I can't do that. Besides, Gamma Chujutsu is not strong enough to wipe out the whole village and Gamma Bunta would see no reason to and go back to the summoning realm, Naruto thought. True, then why don't you leave? Kyuubi asked in a rather sinister and inviting voice. These damn villagers don't deserve someone as strong as you on their side. Besides, you have a lot of friends out there that would be more than welcome to let you stay with them. Kyuubi said. Maybe. Naruto thought. Of course I'm right, Kit. Just summon Gamma Chujutsu and leave, okay? Okay. Naruto bit his thumb and made the hand signs, summoning jutsu. Naruto shouted as he pressed his hand against the ground, and in a giant poof of smoke Gamma Chujutsu stood there wearing his red samurai armor and a giant battle axe, which is the weapon he usually carries, out. Which one should I cleave into pieces? Gamma Chujutsu shouted as he lifted his axe into the air. The villagers ran back terrified at the huge toad. No Gamma Chujutsu were leaving. Naruto said with sadness in his voice. If that is what you wish. Gamma Chujutsu said solemnly as he put his axe back onto his back. Good, you damn demon, leave. One of the villagers yelled, but as soon as he said that, a kunai the size of a door was shot at the man, almost making him soil himself. If you ever call my master that again, I will not miss next time. Gamma Chujutsu said with malice in his voice. Turning around, he jumped over the gates of Konoha and said, Where to, Naruto-kun? To Suna, Naruto answered as Gamma Chujutsu headed away from the village. Gamma Chujutsu had been hopping through the forest for about 6 hours now and had used a jutsu to shrink himself to about the size of a hummer to draw less attention to Naruto and himself. Gamma Chujutsu looked up at Naruto. His eyes were bloodshot from crying and his cheeks were stained from tears. Poor Naruto-kun, rejected from his own village for something he had no control over. I swear to Kami, if Naruto-kun hadn't told me not to attack, I would have sent every villager to a slow, painful and well-deserved grave. Gamma Chujutsu thought angrily as continued on his way to Suna. Meanwhile, Tsunade was tapping her foot angrily in front of a very afraid council, so hard in fact that she was starting to make a dent in the floor. Why did they throw Naruto out of the village? Tsunade asked as she continued to tap her foot on the floor, unleashing a small but noticeable amount of killer intent. A very brave or very stupid council member said, Why are you mad? The villagers did us all a favor by throwing the demon. But as soon as that word left his mouth, Tsunade threw a paper weight, hitting the man square between the eyes, knocking him out instantly. If any of you ever call him a demon again, I will destroy you. Tsunade yelled at the man. The Uzumaki child, another council member started, careful not to say demon. Is now a nuke nin, so we will have to put him in the bingo book. And no. He will not be put in the bingo book because he did not leave on his own accord. He was chased out by his own people. Tsunade slammed her fist into the meeting table, turning it into firewood. Now I will be sending a squad to find Naruto and bring him back if any of try and interfere. Tsunade said as she cracked her knuckles for dramatic effect. Well, let's just say you won't be needing to book any travel plans. Back with Naruto and Gamma Chujutsu. Naruto-kun, it's getting late and I'm running low on chakra, we should stop and rest for a while. Gamma Chujitsu said as he started to slow down. Yeah, I'm really tired too, we should rest. Naruto said, his voice raspy and sore from crying. Pull it together, kid. Forget about them, and if you are crying because of that pink-haired whore, then stop. I do have an image to keep up, remember. Kyuubi said, annoyance clear in his voice. I'm sorry, it's just, how could they do this to me? I protected that village with my life, and this is what I get in return. Naruto thought angrily. Don't worry about them, brat, they were your old pack. They didn't see how valuable you were to them, and that's their mistake. But now you are going to Suna, and if everything goes as planned, they will be your new pack, and hopefully they won't be like the last bunch. Kyuubi said, hoping that would be enough to get him to stop crying. I sure hope everything goes as planned. Well, good night. Night, Gaki. Kyuubi said in response. Naruto jumped off of Gamma Chujitsu. Thank you, Gamma Chujitsu, I don't know what I'd do without you. Naruto said as he scratched the back of his head. Think nothing of it, Naruto-kun. It's an honor to help the last member of the Namikaze clan. Gamma Chujitsu said as he took his own pipe out, lit it with a fire jutsu, and took a drag on it. Just be careful when I'm not around, alright? Yeah, I will. Well, I'll see you later. Naruto said as he waved goodbye. Take care. Gamma Chujitsu said as he poofed back to the summoning realm. Naruto looked around at his new surroundings. It was a wooded area with a small creek nearby. The air seemed drier to him than what he was used to. I've got to be close to Wind Country by now. Naruto said as he looked around for a nice place to stay for the night, eventually finding a semi-hollow tree and jumping into it and trying to get into a comfortable position. Hopefully I'm close to Suna. Naruto muttered as he slowly drifted off to sleep. Naruto awoke the next morning feeling well rested. He stretched as he started to climb out of the tree. Hey, you bastard, give us back our sister. Naruto heard someone shout. He looked down from the tree and saw a man running with a girl tied up under his arm. The girl looked about Naruto's age. She had ice blue hair that reached to her neck, and her eyes were the exact same color of her hair. He couldn't really see her cloths because of the ropes that were tied around her, but he could see she had a Suna head protector around her forehead. Don't worry, Aimi, we'll rescue you. Naruto heard another voice shout. Naruto looked over in the direction where the shouts were coming from. He saw two boys. One looked to be a couple years older than himself, and the other looked to be about 10. The older had flame red hair in a flat top style and red eyes like his hair. He wore a white long-sleeved shirt with a black short-sleeved button-up shirt that was left open. Naruto noticed that the black shirt had a symbol on it, a fireball with the kanji for dragon in the middle of the fireball. He also had on black cargo shorts, black fingerless gloves with metal plates on them, his forehead protector tied around his neck, which was also from Suna, and a dai katana on his back. Upon closer inspection, Naruto noticed that the hilt of his sword was covered in white wrap that attached to the bottom of the hilt. The younger one had light brown shaggy hair. Naruto also noticed that his eye color was the same as his hair. He wore a light brown short-sleeved shirt which had the same symbol as the older one on it, a metal shoulder guard on his right arm. His head protector was tied around his waist like a belt, and like the older, he had on cargo shorts, only these were brown. I wonder if they're from a clan. Naruto thought. They might be, Kyuubi said. Ah yes, now I remember that mark. That is the family seal of the Ryu clan. Ryu clan. Yes. The Ryu clan is a clan native to Suna. They are the keepers of the Great Dragon Summoning Contract. Dragon Summoning Contract? I didn't know there was one. Yes, there is, and it's one of the deadliest summoning contracts out there, and the Ryu clan only lets members of their clan sign it. Wait. If they are all family members, then how come they all look different? Naruto asked. I'll explain later, because you might want to help them. After all, they are from Suna, so if you help them rescue their sister, then that might help you get into Suna easier. Good idea. Naruto thought as he jumped out of the tree and onto a branch and after the Suna ninja and their prey. That's it, I'm sick of chasing this guy, time to use Saraiba, the red-haired boy shouted as he unsheathed his sword. Kurisu. Are you crazy, you could hit Aimi? The brown-haired boy shouted. Shut it, Mato, I know what I'm doing. Kurisu spat. Kurisu then began to spin his sword around by its sword knot and launched it at his sister's kidnapper. The blade dug deep into the man's left shoulder, making him drop Aimi. Anir, you alright? Mato shouted as he ran to his sister. Ouchie. That hurt. Aimi whined. Here, let me untie you. Mato said as he drew out a kunai and cut the ropes off his sister. Thanks, Mati Otuto. Aimi said as she ruffled her brother's hair. He huffed, clearly annoyed at the nickname. Kurisu yanked on the sword knot of Saraiba, bringing it back to him and in the process making the man scream in pain as blood shot out of his wound. Now usually I wouldn't waste my chakra on a pissant like you, but since you tried to kidnap my Imouto, you're dead. Kurisu, he said menacingly and started forming hand signs, then as he took in a large breath he shouted in his mind, Kaden, Karyu Enden, and unleashed a gigantic blast of fire engulfing the man in the inferno. His screams could be heard through the flames. As the flames started to wither away, Kurisu walked towards where the man's body should be, but instead of a charred corpse he found, damn. He used a Kawarimi no Jutsu, Kurisu shouted as he started looking around for the man, but the man came up on his blind spot with a kunai. Ani. Aimi and Mato shouted. Kurisu jumped around after they had shouted. Eat this carrot top. The man shouted as he thrust the kunai at Kurisu. Damn, not enough time. Kurisu thought as he raised his arms up to defend his chest. Closing his eyes he waited for the blow, but it never came. Instead he heard Uzumaki. Kurisu opened his eyes to see what was going on. Instead of the man there was now 4 orange-clad boys in front of him. Kurisu looked up and saw that the man was now in the air and there was another orange-clad boy jumping in the air right next to him. He then straightened out and shouted, Naruto Renden. The orange-clad boy then gave the man a brutal axe kick, sending him crashing back down to earth, knocking him out on contact. Kurisu jumped a bit when the 4 boys in front of him vanished in a poof of smoke. Kage Bunshin. Huh, well, that's something you don't see every day. Kurisu thought as he got up off the ground. Hey, you, thanks for the help. Kurisu said as he walked up to this orange boy. No problem. I was just helping out. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, by the way, if you couldn't have guessed. I am Kurisu Ryu, future head of the Ryu clan and wielder of Saraiba, Kurisu said as he made a small bow. Saraiba. Naruto thought. The sword Gaki. Oh. Kurisu, are you alright? Mato shouted as he and Aimi ran over to them. Hi. I'm fine, thanks to Uzumaki-san here, Kurisu said as he sheathed Saraiba. Thank you very much, Uzumaki-sama, for helping us rescue our Anne. I am Mato Ryu, number 1 rookie of my graduating class. Aimi walked over to Naruto, stuck her face right next to his and said, You look like my Nanki-chan. This made both Kurisu and Mato do an anime-style drop. Naruto just responded with a loquacious, huh. It's her pet fox. Kurisu said after he got back on his feet. Anyway, hi, I'm Aimi Ryu and I am the ditziest girl in all of Sunagakur. Mato finished the sentence for her. Shut up. Aimi shouted. Then the two got into an insult contest, yelling things from embarrassing nicknames to strange things that didn't quite make sense to Naruto. So Uzumaki-san, I can tell you're a Konoha ninja from your headband, so what are you doing this far into Wind Country? Kurisu asked as he continued to watch his siblings fight. Well, you see, I was banished from Konoha for completing a mission. Naruto said. Kurisu raised an eyebrow at this. Have you ever heard of the Uchiha clan? Kurisu shook his head. Yes. Well, I was on the same team as the last Uchiha when I became a genin, so eventually we became friends and stuff like that. And when we took the Chunin exams together, something happened to him. I was knocked out at the time, so I don't remember what happened, but he got some kind of seal put on his neck by one of the three Sanin. Orochimaru. Kurisu visibly paled at the mention of that name. Naruto noticed this. Hey, are you okay? Yay. Yeah, I'm fine. Continue with your story, Kurisu said kind of nervously. Anyway, the seal had some kind of hold on him and he tried to leave the village, so Tsunade Ba-chan sent me and some of my friends on a mission to bring him back to the village. And we did it, but after we brought him back, the villagers were mad that I had hurt him and threw me out, so I headed to Suna because there are people I know there. Naruto finished. Interesting story, Uzumaki-san. Did you say that the Hokage is your grandmother? Kurisu asked. Not really, that's just what I call her. She may look like young, but she's really like 50-something. I see. So what happened to the rest of your friends? Kurisu asked. I don't know, but I hope they're alright. What? They did what to Naruto? Neji roared with anger, his Byakugan activating out of rage as he tried to get out of his hospital bed only to get pushed back down by Shikamaru. Chill, Neji, after you're healed up, you, Lee, Ino, Choji, Sasuke, Kiba and I are going to go look for him. Wait, did you say the Uchiha is coming too? Neji asked in disbelief. Yeah, Hokage-sama said it would be a good chance to redeem himself. It's all so troublesome. I don't trust him. Neji spat. You and me both, man, but still, an order's an order. Shikamaru said lazily as he placed a new piece on his shogi board. How are the others? Neji asked, hoping for a change of subject. Good. Choji is recovering from chakra exhaustion and Kiba is healing up from a stab wound. Shikamaru said. I see. So where do you think Naruto went? Neji asked. Sadly, I have no idea. So where should we look first? Don't worry about it right now. Hokage-sama said she would give us all more details when we start the mission. Shikamaru said as he picked up his shogi board and put it away in a sack he brought with him. Just try to get some rest. Then he left the room. Back with Naruto, Kurisu, Mato and Aimi. So let me get this straight, you're heading to Suna to join its ranks as a ninja, right? Mato asked as Naruto and the three members of the Ryu clan moved their way through the forest, the air getting drier as they went. Yes. Who's your connection? Kurisu asked. Sabaku no Gaara. All three sand ninjas' eyes widened with surprise. Really, you're friends with Kazekage-sama? Aimi asked. Naruto froze. Kazekage. Did you just say that Gaara is Kazekage? Naruto asked, shouted. Yes, he was accepted just yesterday. His coronation is in 1 week. There are rumors going around that the reason they picked him was because he defeated the last member of the Kagaya clan in battle, Aimi said. I see. I'm happy for you, Gaara. They need a Kage as strong as you. Naruto thought. Naruto and the three Ryu clan members stood on the border line between the forest and the desert and looked out to the seemingly endless sea of sand. I can't see it anywhere. How far is it from here? Naruto asked as he squinted his eyes scanning the desert for any sign of the village. About a day and a half, Kurisu simply said. What, that long out there on the desert, walking, with no supplies? Naruto shouted, but Kurisu just started to laugh. What's so funny? Naruto asked angrily. Tell me, Uzumaki-san, who said we were walking? Kurisu said as he bit his thumb and started flashing through hand signs. Kuchio's no jutsu. Kurisu shouted as he slammed his hand on the ground, creating a gigantic blast of smoke. Kurisu, I was sleeping. Came a booming voice that made the ground shake. Sorry, Irakyojin-san. Kurisu shouted. As the smoke dissipated, Naruto got the full glimpse of what Kurisu had summoned. He's got to be as big as Gamma Chujutsu, Naruto thought as he gazed up at the summon. It was a giant red dragon, its wings could dwarf buildings, it had two large horns on the top of its head and one on its snout with the kanji for fire between its eyes, its claws were as big as a section of train and its tail was as long as 3 semi-trailers put together with a large spike ball on the end of the tail. How powerful is that thing, Kyuubi? Naruto asked. I sense the chakra level of at least 1 kg, Kyuubi said. Wow. The giant beast lowered its head to ground level with the rest of them. How's it hanging? Irakyojin asked lazily. Yay. Irakyojin-chan. Aimi squealed as she ran and grabbed onto his snout horn. Hi Aimi-chan, how's the little ice princess? Good as ever. She answered happily. The giant dragon moved its head to the side to look at Kurisu and Naruto. Who's the blonde shrimp? He asked. A tick mark appeared on Naruto's forehead, but seeing the giant dragon he wasn't too keen on the idea of retorting. This is Naruto Uzumaki, he's coming with us to Suna to become a ninja, Kurisu said. Alright, so I guess you summoned me to give you guys a lift, huh? The giant fire beast said. Yes, Kurisu answered. Man, I was hoping to fight something. The giant beast sighed, which almost blew Naruto off his feet. Oh well, can't get what you want all the time. Well, hop on. How'd he get such a powerful summon? Naruto asked as he jumped on top of the giant fire beast. Well, you see, whenever a new member of the Ryu clan is born, so is another dragon, and that dragon is the new child's partner for life. Mado explained. And the stronger the person, the stronger the dragon. So as you can see, Kurisu is very strong. Irakyojin was that big when Kurisu was only 7. Wow. So who's your dragon? Naruto asked. Ishi Sato, he's an earth dragon. Mado said. Hold on, kids. Irakyojin shouted as he took off into the air with a great amount of force. Naruto had trouble sitting up, so did Mado, but Kurisu and Aimi didn't seem to have any trouble. Hey, I thought you said you had a dragon, so how come you're having trouble too? Naruto shouted over the sound of flapping wings. Ishi Sato is a land dragon, he doesn't have wings, which I'm glad because I hate flying. Mado shouted back as he increased his grip on the dragon. Hey, I have another question. Naruto yelled. What? Mado shouted, sounding kind of sick. How come you 3 all have different hair color and eye color? The different hair and eye pigment between clan members is an outward way of showing what type of chakra affinity someone has. Such as if someone has brown hair and eyes like me, your affinity is earth. If you have red hair and eyes, you're fire like Kurisu. If you have white hair and eyes, you're wind like our dad, the current clan head. If you have yellow hair and eyes, you're lightning. If your hair and eyes are dark blue, then you're water like our mom, and if your hair and eyes are light blue, then you're ice like Aimi. What? I didn't know there was a pure ice affinity. Naruto said. Well, it only seems to appear in members of our clan, but even then it's still rare. Aimi is the first Ryu clan member to have ice affinity in over a century. And your affinity also determines what type of affinity your dragon will have. Wow, that's so cool. So how long will it take to get to Suna from here? Naruto shouted. About 3 hours. Kurisu answered over the flapping wings. Awesome, that's a lot faster than walking. 3 hours later, at the walls of Sunagakur, the 3 Suna ninja and the Suna ninja hopeful dismounted the gigantic dragon. Kurisu. Irakyojin said, sounding irked. Yes. Next time you summon me, please have something for me to do other than being a taxi. I'm sorry, but I wanted to get home fast. Kurisu then let out a big yawn. I miss my bed. Yeah, that's nice. You got me out of bed so I could help you get to bed sooner. Anyway, see you guys later. Irakyojin said before poofing back to the summoning realm. Well, now that I'm back on dry land, I'm going to go get me a pick-me-up and go meet my team for practice. See ya, Mado shouted as he ran off. Pick me up. He's only 10. Naruto shouted. He's 11 actually. Kurisu said matter-of-factly. Like it makes a difference. Naruto shouted back. Our clan has a saying, old enough to spill blood, old enough to drink sake, not that I do of course, Aimi said. Wait, he said. His team? I thought you guys were all on the same team, Naruto said. No, he was only on our team for one mission, which was to rescue Aimi from that kidnapper, Kurisu said. Then who's you other squad mate? Naruto asked. He died on a mission, Aimi said, sounding quite sad. Oh, I'm sorry, Naruto said, suddenly finding his feat very interesting. Don't be. Anyway, let's go to Kazekage-sama's office and get you registered, and after that you can crash at our place. I'm pretty sure Dad will want to reward you for helping, and believe me, once you've had some of Mom's cooking you'll never want to eat anywhere else ever again. Kurisu said as they went on their way to Gaara's office. This was the first time Naruto had ever set foot in Sunagaku. The buildings were way different than back in Konoha, having more of a dome shape to protect them from the powerful winds. It's funny, we have a bunch of servants to fix the food for us, but Mom always wants to do the cooking, and if you try and help her she'll smack you with a wooden spoon, and it hurts. She left a red mark on my hand for a week. So is there a main and side branch to the Ryu clan? Naruto asked. Hell no. Naruto jumped slightly as he had shouted quiet loudly. There is no way we would ever enslave our own family like those barbaric Hyuga, hey noble Mai. Even if the kid is the result of a rape or something like that, the child will still be treated as if he or she is the child of the clan head. I swear my dad would rather rip out his own hair and then eat it than even think about enslaving a member of our clan. Yeah, Daddy's the sweetest guy ever and he's always funny. Aimi said. Later at Gaara's office. I haven't even been crowned yet and those lazy old farts are making me do all the paperwork, Gaara muttered angrily as he finished signing another complaint about a certain tall, white-haired old man who keeps spying on the ladies at the bathhouse when he heard a knock on the door. If you are here to give me more paperwork, I'm already busy, so please leave. Gaara said irritably. It's me, Kurisu Ryu. Kazekage-sama, I need to talk to you about a certain matter. Come in, Gaara said. The door opened, revealing the red-headed dragon summoner. After making a small bow, Kurisu walked over to a chair and sat down. So what is this certain matter you want to talk to me about? Gaara asked, leaning back in his chair. Our mission to rescue my sister was a success. We were able to catch him before he left Wind Territory and no casualties were sustained. Kurisu said. Gaara nodded, signifying he was allowed to continue. While on mission we met a Konoha shinobi by the name of Uzumaki Naruto who claims to be an acquaintance of yours. Yes, I do know Naruto Uzumaki, but what I want to know is why he was in Wind Country, Gaara said. Well, apparently he was banished for completing a mission. Gaara's eyes slightly widened at this. What? Why? Gaara was quite dumbfounded. I don't know all the details, you'll have to talk to him yourself, Kazekage-sama. Send him in, Gaara ordered. Hi. Kurisu then walked out of the office with a small bow. He looked down at Naruto, who was sitting in a chair next to Aimi. Kazekage-sama would like to speak with you. Kurisu said. Okay. Naruto said as he raised himself out of the chair and went into the office. Hey Gaara, been a while. Naruto said as he took a seat. You have some explaining to do. Gaara said with a stern yet concerned voice. And with a deep sigh, Naruto began to explain his situation from the start of the mission to where he met the Ryu clan trio and that he wanted to join Suna. I'm sorry for what has happened to you, and I'm sure you the council will let you join. After all, you did beat me when I was in total possession. I'm sure they will be impressed. Gaara said as he started writing down something down on a piece of paper. Kankuro, Gaara said as he continued writing. Said shinobi appeared in the middle of the room in a swirl of sand. What you need? Kankuro said in a kneeling position. Take this order to the armory. We're going to need a new headband for Naruto-san here. Gaara said with the smallest on his smiles on his face. You got it, Kankuro said as he took the paper and disappeared the same way he entered. Now do you know where you will be staying? Gaara asked. Kurisu said I could stay at his place for the night. Naruto said. Good, so tomorrow we will find you a place to stay, get your headband and get you on a new genin squad. Gaara said as he stood up and walked over to Naruto, putting his hand on Naruto's shoulder he said. Welcome to your new home, Naruto Uzumaki. And don't worry, you helped me, so I am going to do everything I can to help you. Naruto stood up shaking slightly, looked Gaara straight in the eye and said in almost a whisper. Thank you, Gaara. Before he fainted, Naruto. Gaara shouted as he kneeled down next to him. The door to Gaara's office burst open as Kurisu barged in, sword drawn. Is everything alright, Kazekage-sama? Kurisu shouted, but after he was done talking a loud gurgling erupted throughout Gaara's office. What was that? Kurisu asked. Hungry. Naruto muttered. Gaara's sweat dropped slightly. He turned his attention to Kurisu. He said he would be staying with you, right? Hi, Kazekage-sama, Kurisu answered. Good. Then go ahead and take him. Bring him back here tomorrow, understood? Hi, Kurisu said as he picked up Naruto and left the office. Gaara sat back down in his chair. Putting his feet up on his desk, he shouted for his secretary to bring him some tea. She arrived a little while later with a fresh cup of hot green tea. He looked out the window sipping his tea. Things are going to get very interesting here with Naruto around. I wonder how Shujiki will reward Naruto for helping rescue his daughter and assisting Kurisu, knowing that old fool he'll either give Aimi to Naruto as a wife or train him so hard he'll have to be in the hospital for several weeks. I wonder which one is worse. Gaara thought as he returned to the bane of all cages, his paperwork. Meanwhile, a loud sneeze could be heard coming from the Ryu clan compound. Someone must be talking about me somewhere, Shujiki said to no one in particular. Welcome Uzumaki Naruto to the Ryu clan compound. Kurisu said enthusiastically despite his claims of being tired. Wow. Naruto said as he stared up at the giant building about the size of Hokage Tower. It looked very old, almost ancient, but still beautiful. It had ivy with an interesting blue flower on it covering most of the building. It had a large stone perimeter wall, and every corner of the house and roof there was a large statue of a Chinese dragon that was positioned as if it were defending the house. Naruto could have swore one of the statues winked at him. The front gates to the estate were made out of solid black onyx with the Ryu clan symbol in the middle of it. There were 2 guards at the gate. One was a very tall, well-built man with a blonde mohawk. His head protector was tied around his head so it was covering his eyes. He had on basic Suna Jonin attire, and the other was a very petite girl about half an inch shorter than Naruto with dark blue hair in a messy bun and dark blue eyes. She was wearing a dark blue Chinese dress with a light blue wave design on it, that was also fitted for combat, and her headband tied loosely around her waist, and she had a good-sized bust indicating that she had to be at least in her teens. Keiji, we're back. Aimi shouted as she waved at the 2 guarding the gate. I'm glad you're back, Aimi-sama, Kurisu-sama. And who is your guest? The tall blonde man known as Keiji asked. This is Naruto Uzumaki, he helped my brothers save me. Aimi said. Thank you very much Uzumaki-san for helping bring back Aimi-sama. Keiji smiled and gave Naruto a small bow. Hey guys, what's going on? Kurisu asked casually. Nothing Kurisu-sama, Mai said trying to hide a blush. That's cool. Well, I'll see you guys later. Kurisu said as he pushed open the doors to the compound. Upon entering the walls of the compound, Naruto noticed a lot of people were all gathered around what seemed to be a sparring arena. Hey Aimi, what time is it? Kurisu asked. I think it's about noon, she replied looking up at the sun. And what usually happens at noon? Her face suddenly lit up as she remembered what happened at this time of day, Daddy's sparring match. Aimi yelled as she ran to the sparring arena. Care to see my father fight? Kurisu asked. Sure, Naruto said as they two walked to the arena. Please try to make this interesting. Shujiki said in a bored tone as he dodged another clumsy attack from his would-be attacker. Shujiki was a very, very tall man standing at least a foot and a half taller than Jiraiya. He wore a long white robe with a yellow sash tied around his waist. His hair was spiked up in several spikes, think Kenpachi Zaraki from Bleach, and you're very close but his aren't as large. He was armed with dual katanas both tied in a crisscross fashion on his back, and his muscles were quite large but don't as big as a bodybuilder's. Kurisu and Naruto had finally pushed through the crowd and were now watching the fight. The last person your boss sent actually put up somewhat of a good warm-up. Shujiki sighed as he unsheathed his swords. Oh well, I guess if you won't stop bothering me and my family I will have to kill you. What happened next was too fast for Naruto to see. 1 second Shujiki was standing and not moving, the next his body slightly flickered, and the 3rd second his swords were covered in blood and Shujiki's wannabe assassin's head and torso were cut in half, making quite a mess. Wah! What just happened? Naruto asked, shouted. That was my father's Kei's Sutepu technique. Only those with a strong connection to wind affinity can learn it. Well, at least that's what my dad tells me every time I try and get him to teach it to me. Kurisu finished, sounding a little annoyed. Daddy! Aimi shouted as she jumped on to his shoulders and hugged him around the neck. Haha. How's my little sweetie? Shujiki asked. Great. Hey daddy, I want you to meet someone. Naruto, come over here. Aimi shouted. Naruto walked out of the crowd and up to Aimi and Shujiki. Something was familiar about him too, Naruto, and by the look on Shujiki's face you could tell he was thinking the same thing about Naruto. After a few seconds Naruto's bright blue eyes and Shujiki's pure white eyes widened and both yelled at the same time, pointing at each other. You! Ha ha ha! Naruto-kun, you look like your dad even more now. How have you been? Shujiki shouted as he patted Naruto on the shoulder, making his knees buckle under the force of the pat. I'm doing great, Shu-chan. I've been working really hard just like you told me. Hold up. Hold up. You two know each other? Kuisu asked, a bit confused. Yeah, I met him when I was a little kid back in Konoha. Yeah. So what are you doing in Suna, Naruto-kun? Shujiki asked. Naruto looked away with a sad look on his face. Kurisu walked over to Shujiki, who bent over to hear him. By the time Kurisu was done telling the story of Naruto's banishment, Shujiki was quite visibly shaking in anger. He slowly but surely got his anger back into control. There was a different time for things like venting your anger. So how did you guys meet? Aimi asked, still hanging off of Shujiki's neck. Well, it's kind of a long story. Oh, please tell me, please. Aimi pleaded. Okay, I'll tell you. It all started back about 8 years ago when I was visiting Konoha. Flashback no jutsu. Get the demon, kill it, another angry villager yelled as a mob chased after a 5-year-old Naruto. Please stop, I didn't do anything to you. Naruto pleaded as he ran for his life, turning a corner and running down an alley. Naruto came to a stop. Oh no, a dead end. Naruto screamed in horror as he backed up against the wall, waiting for the inevitable. Am I really going to die here? Naruto thought as tears rolled down his cheeks. Come on everyone, let's finish what the Yondaime started, another villager shouted. Now I don't think this is how the Yondaime wanted you to treat this boy. Shujiki said in a calm yet angered voice as he jumped off of a roof and landed in between the mob and Naruto. Just who the hell do you think you are, Suna ninja? A Konoha Chunin shouted as he pointed to the headband tied around Shujiki's arm. Who I am is none of your business, but what is my business is that you are attacking the son of my best and most trusted friend. Shujiki said, unleashing a huge amount of killer intent, making even the Chunin want to wet his pants. Now leave or I will destroy you all. Shujiki shouted as he stopped suppressing his chakra, making the air thick and hard to breathe. The Chunin were the first to run, followed by the villagers. Shujiki sighed as he bent down in front of Naruto. Are you all right, little one? Shujiki asked, concern in his voice. Naruto looked up into the man's pure white pupil-less eyes. Yay. Yeah, I'm fine, and who are you? Naruto asked. My name is Shujiki. Now let's go get something to eat. How about ramen? Shujiki suggested with a smile. What's ramen? Naruto asked. By Kami, you've never had ramen before, little one. Well, we're going to have to remedy that, now won't we? Shujiki said as they walked off to Ichiraku noodle shop. Hey Tsuki-kun, it's been a while. Shujiki said as he and Naruto sat down at Ichiraku. Shujiki-sama, it has been a while. What can I get for you, and who is this? Tsuki motioned towards Naruto. This is Naruto Uzumaki, and he will be dining with me tonight. Naruto looked surprised. How had he known his name? As far as he remembered, he hadn't introduced himself. Give me one of everything and let's start Naruto off with a barbecue pork ramen, and if he likes it then give him some more. After a half an hour of ramen making, Tsuki sat down all of Shujiki's orders. There you go, one beef, pork, barbecue pork, shrimp, crab, chicken, seafood special, meat lovers special, veggie special, and one barbecue pork for Uzumaki-san. Enjoy, Tsuki said as he and his daughter Ayame handed them their food. It smells pretty good, Naruto thought as he broke apart his chopsticks. Itadakimasu, Naruto shouted before digging into his food. The minute the delicious noodles touched his mouth and slid down his throat, he felt like he was in heaven and instantly started consuming the ramen. Well, he certainly got a healthy appetite. Tsuki chuckled as he watched Naruto devour his third bowl of ramen. More please, Shujiki-san, Naruto said. Haha, sure thing, kid. Tsuki, more for the kid please. After Naruto had had his fill, 20 bowls to be exact, the two left Ichiraku and headed towards Hokage Tower. Where are we going now, Shu-chan? Naruto asked. Shujiki smiled at the nickname. We're going to see old man Hokage. There is something I have to talk to him about, okay? Okay, Naruto said as he reached up and grabbed Shujiki's hand as they continued to the tower. After they arrived at the tower, Shujiki was glaring at every person who came his way so as to say, back away from the boy. When they arrived at the office door, he set Naruto down in a chair. Now Naruto, wait here while I talk to the Hokage, alright? Shujiki said. Alright, Naruto said. A half an hour passed. Naruto could hear muffled voice and the occasional shouting match could be heard. Eventually Naruto's curiosity got the better of him and he slightly cracked the door to the Sandame's office to hear what was happening. Damn you Sarutobi, let me take Naruto back to Suna, there I could give him a real home instead of this dump. Shujiki shouted. Watch you tongue, Shujiki. I would love to let Naruto go with you, but the council. I don't give a damn about your collection of old bags. Naruto is my godson and I am his godfather. Minato trusted Naruto with me, I'm taking Naruto with me and I don't care what happens. Shujiki spat as he reached for the doorknob. If you take Naruto with you, the council could declare war on Suna. The Hokage said. This made Shujiki stop. He turned around and gave the old Sandame a hard glare. I will return for Naruto when he is 14 and if wants to come with me then he shall, and if he was been killed by the villagers by the time I return then the Ryu clan will declare war against Konoha and burn it to the ground. Do I make myself clear, old man? Shujiki said, a heavy amount of malice in his voice. Sandame glared right back at him and sighed. He really didn't want to have to resort to that. The Ryu clan was powerful, but they wouldn't last against the entire Konohagakure shinobi force, and Shujiki, being the stubborn man he was, Sarutobi was quite certain he might keep to that threat. Very well, Shujiki. Good. Shujiki said as he slammed the door behind him. He stood there for a while until the realization hit him. Did I really just threaten Konoha with war? He muttered to himself. He backed up against the wall and slid to the floor. Had Sarutobi been a more aggressive and angry man, Shujiki was sure he would have just dug his entire clan's grave. He slowly got back to his trying not to think about what he had just done. He looked down at Naruto, who had returned to his seat swinging his feet back and forth. Minato, if only you could see what these bastards, your people, are doing to your son. A lone tear crept from Shujiki's pure white eye. Are you okay, Shu-chan? Naruto asked. Huh. Oh yes, I'm fine, Shujiki said as he wiped the tear away. I was just something in my eye. Anyway, Naruto, I'm sorry, but I have to leave. No. Don't leave, Shu-chan. Let me come with you. Naruto pleaded, tears coming down his cheeks. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I can't do that. But I promise you the next time I return to Konoha I will be able to take you with me, okay? Shujiki said as he ruffled Naruto's sun-kissed hair. Sniff. Okay, Shu-chan. Hey, don't be sad. Hey, I have a question. Do you want to become a ninja? The white-haired clan head asked. Yes, I do. Well then, I want you to train as hard as you can when you join the ninja academy for me, alright? Shujiki said. I'll do my best, Shu-chan, I promise. Naruto said. Good. Now goodbye, Naruto-kun. Shujiki said as shunshined out of Hokage Tower. End of flashback. Wow. So does that mean I have another little brother? Aimi asked. No. He is legally under my care and will be living with us from now on, but he is still Naruto Uzumaki. Shujiki said. Okay, well, I'll see you guys later, I'm very tired. Kurisu said as he walked off, letting out a loud yawn. Hey Dad, Aimi, Naruto, what's up? Mato said as he and two other people walked up to them. One of them was a tall dark-haired boy with very pale skin. He wore a long black trench coat, think Vash's coat off of Trigun, a pair of sunglasses, his headband tied around his neck in basic shinobi gear. The other was a girl with pink hair tied in high ponytail that reached to about her neck. She had light green eyes, she wore blue jeans and a tight white t-shirt, a huge iron fan on her back much like Temari's in basic shinobi gear. Hey Mato. Who are these two? Naruto asked. These two are my teammates. This is Kuroi Kyukitsuki of the Kyukitsuki clan. Mato said as he pointed at the pale boy. Hello. Kuroi said in a creepy voice that reminded him of Orochimaru. And this is Momo. Mato said, pointing at the pink-haired girl. Hiya. Momo said in a cheery voice. Well, shall we go to diner? Shujiki asked as he started walking towards the main part of the compound. Yeah, I'm starving. Naruto groaned. Well then, come on. Aimi said as she grabbed onto Naruto's arm and dragged him inside the house, into the dining room, and sat him down right next to her. The dining room was huge. A long oak table reached from one side of the room to the other with seating for almost 50 people. The room was covered in orient designs of dragons, and ornamental swords were also part of the decoration. You're going to love mommy's cooking, Aimi said as the others consisting of Kuroi, Mato, Momo and Kurisu walked in and took their seats, and Shujiki walked in with one of the most beautiful women he had ever seen. She had long wavy dark blue hair and dark blue eye. She wore a dark blue kimono with the clan symbol on the front. She was pretty tall, standing at about to Shujiki's chest. She had a very pretty heart-shaped face with lightly tanned skin and an ample chest. Mommy! Aimi shouted, jumping the table and into her mother's arms. Oh my little girl, are you all right? Are you hurt? Did that man do anything to you? Oh, I was so worried about you. the woman said, crying as she held Aimi in a bone-crushing hug. Now Manami, please calm down, we have a guest. Shujiki pointed across the table. Manami stopped squishing her daughter and looked to where he was pointing. For a minute she had no reaction until his eyes widened in surprise. Is that, Naruto? She stuttered. Turning to her husband, who answered her with a nod, she ran over to Naruto and gave him the same treatment she had just given Aimi. Oh, you look so much like your father. She looked up to Shujiki. I thought you said he wasn't coming here until he was 14. I'll explain later. Shujiki answered as servants began filing in and placing trays of food on the table. Well, kids, dig in, Shujiki said as he reached for some chicken. The rest of the night was filled with lots of laughing and storytelling until 12 a.m. It's getting late, everyone, time for bed. Aimi, could you show Naruto to the guest bedroom? Shujiki asked. Sure, daddy. Come on, Naruto-kun, Aimi said as she dragged him off again. After they left, Kurisu let out a big laugh. Kun. Haha, looks like Aimi has a boyfriend. The red-headed teen laughed until his mother gave him a swift swat on the back of the head with a wooden spoon. I think they make a cute couple, Manami said matter-of-factly while Kurisu was rolling around on the ground holding his head in pain. Here you go, Naruto-kun, Aimi said as she opened the door to Naruto's new room. Cool, Naruto said as he looked around the room. The room consisted of a very comfy-looking bed, shelves of books, a TV, a bathroom off to the side of the room, a weapon rack and a small nightstand on the left side of the bed. Well, hope you like it, Naruto-kun. If you need anything, my room is right down the hall. Good night, Aimi said as she closed the door. Naruto plopped onto his bed and looked up at the ceiling as his tired muscles relaxed. I wonder how everyone else is doing, Naruto thought as he slowly drifted off to sleep. No sooner had he fallen asleep, he felt his body flip with a loud "Good morning, Naruto-kun," Shujiki shouted as he flipped Naruto's mattress, making him do a face plant on the hardwood flood. What the hell, Shubaka? Naruto shouted as he rubbed his head. Starting today, you are now my apprentice and I will be training you so you can become one of the strongest shinobi Sunagaku has ever seen, hey, maybe even better than me, Shujiki said smugly as he rubbed his chin. But it's 3 in the morning, you loony, Naruto shouted as he gestured towards the clock on his wall. So, now get dressed and meet me at the sparring ground, Shujiki said as he left the room and closed the door behind him. Grudgingly, Naruto got dresses and found his way to the sparring grounds. Now, Naruto-kun, the first thing we are going to do is see what type of chakra you have, Shujiki said as he pulled out a small slip of paper and handed it to Naruto. What do I do with this? Naruto asked as he examined the small slip of paper. Just focus some of your chakra into the paper and we will see. So Naruto did as he was told and started focusing his chakra into the paper until it eventually split in half. Perfect. Your wind affinity, so you will be able to learn a great majority of my jutsu. However, before I teach you any of my jutsu, you will have to get stronger, Shujiki said as he threw a tank top shirt at Naruto's feet. What's this? Naruto asked. Just put it on and you will see. So Naruto removed his orange jacket and put on the shirt. Good. Now brace yourself, Shujiki said as he formed a hand sign, making Naruto instantly hit the ground with a loud crash. What the heck is this? Naruto shouted as he tried to get up. That, Naruto-kun, is a gravity training shirt. It's completely made out of gravity seals that are activated by a jutsu. Your objective is to become strong enough to run and maneuver with that on as if it were a second skin, Shujiki explained. How heavy is this? If I remember right, about 300 pounds. What? Quote. And from now on you will not eat ramen unless I say so. What? Then what the heck am I supposed to eat, Shu-sensei? Naruto whined. I'm glad you have respect. Any way to answer your question, you will eat vegetables. No. Nothing is wrong with vegetables, Naruto-kun. They help you get stronger and are good for you. Now try and get up. The next 7 hours Naruto trained with the gravity shirt on and was able to stand up and walk with it activated. Even though the standing was clumsy, he was still standing. Very good, Naruto-kun, now go get cleaned up. We have a meeting with the Cage. Shujiki said. Yes sensei. Naruto gasped out. God, I'm so exhausted. Naruto thought as he tried to get up. Shu-sensei, you forgot to release the gravity seals. Naruto shouted. No, I didn't. Now hurry up and get ready. Shujiki said. But I can't move. Not my problem. He said simply. What? Come on, Shu-chan, this isn't funny. Naruto yelled. You saw the hand sign, didn't you? Release it yourself. Oh. So Naruto used the hand sign and he could walk properly again. He then ran up to his room, took a quick shower. He looked around for his cloths but he couldn't find them. He looked on his dresser and found a note. Dear Naruto-kun, I have thrown out those eyesores you called cloths and have picked out an entirely new wardrobe for you. No complaining. Now you will find your new clothes on the top left drawer of your dresser. Sincerely. Shujiki Ryu, 20th clan head of the Ryu clan and head marshal of the Sunagakur Military Council. See Gaki, I told you those clothes were disgusting. Kyuubi suddenly said. Oh, shut it, you dumb fox. Naruto thought as he opened the drawer the note said had his new clothes. He saw a tan poncho that had places to hold kunai, shuriken and a katana on the inside, several pairs of black shinobi pants, several pairs of white muscle shirts, a shuriken pouch and kunai holster with the Sunagakur symbol on them, a black pair of shinobi sandals and a katana with a orange swirl design that went up and down the sheath over a black background. Also there was a note on the sword. Naruto, if you want to learn how to use this, then ask me next time we are training. Much better than your old ones. These ones actually make you look like a shinobi, Kyuubi said. Yeah, whatever, Naruto grumbled. So after Naruto got dressed he headed downstairs and found Kurisu waiting at the bottom of the stairs. Good morning, Kurisu, what's up? Naruto asked. Wow, Naruto, nice new threads. Anyway, Dad told me to take you to Kage-sama's office this morning. Kurisu said. Alright, let's go. At the Suna Council room. So Uzumaki, Naruto, form what Kage-sama has told me you were thrown out of Konohagakure because you completed a mission, an S-class mission no less, is this correct? An elderly council man asked. Hi. Naruto responded. Many of the council members started talking among themselves saying things like, has Konohagakure gone mad? He defeated Kage-sama when he was in perfect possession, and they throw a shinobi of that power out, they must be mad. He would be an awesome addition to our shinobi, just think how strong he'll be after training with some of our best jonin. And, he accomplished an S-class mission as a genin, he has much potential. The same council member that talked to him at first turned back to him and said, Naruto Uzumaki, after some discussion we have decided that you would make an excellent addition to the Sunagakur shinobi, and since you are friends with Gaara Kage, then we can trust you. The man then got out of his chair and walked over to Naruto. Songai. He shouted, and Asuna shinobi landed right beside him with a small box in hand. Handing the box to the council member, he teleported out of the room. The council member then opened the box and took a brand new Sunagakur head protector out of it. Welcome me to your new village, Naruto Uzumaki, genin of Sunagakur. The council man said as he handed Naruto his new headband. Thank you so much. Naruto said as he removed his Konoha headband, stuffed it in his pocket and tied his new Suna headband where his old one used to be. Now there's still one thing we have to work out. Your new genin squad. Do you know the Kage's older siblings? The man asked. Well, not personally, but yes, I know who there are. Naruto responded. Well, since Gara-sama is now case cage, he cannot take the Chunin exams, so that leaves Kankuro and Temari short a teammate, so we have decided to place you on their team. The council man said. I guess that's okay. Excellent. Now Baki will take you to your training area. The elder said as the rest of the council and himself got up and left, while Baki walked over to Naruto. Hello, I'm Baki, now let's go kid. He said in his gruff voice. Hi Baki sensei. Naruto said as he followed his new sensei to the roof of a building close to the Cage's castle. This is where we train. Baki said as he motioned towards the training ground. There were several training dummies. 3 very tall pillars Naruto guessed were for the wall walking exercise, a large dirt circle in the middle of the roof that was used as a sparring arena, and several other training equipment. Now kid, be here every day for training at 8 a.m., got it? Baki said sternly. Hi Baki sensei. Naruto said. Good. Now wait here for Kankuro and Temari, they'll be here in a couple of minuets. I have some things to take care of, so I'll be back in about an half hour, so when they do get here try not to tick them off, got it? Baki said as he jumped off the building and headed back to the Cage's castle. So after waiting for about 10 minuets, Kankuro and Temari arrived. Temari blinked several times as she looked at Naruto. What the heck is he doing here? She thought. She turned to her brother expecting an answer. Oh right, I forgot to tell you, he's now a ninja of Sunagaku and our new teammate. Just ask Gara later and he'll tell ya what happened. Kankuro said. He then walked over to Naruto saying. So shrimp, how's it been? I'm not a shrimp, but to answer your question, I'm doing okay. Naruto said. Well, since you're okay, how about we spar? Kankuro asked as he pulled Karasu off of his back. Naruto gave him a confident smile. Sure, I'd like to spar. Oh, and I'll try not to smudge your makeup too much. Kankuro growled at this and unbandaged Karasu. I don't care if you are my new teammate, you're dead. Kankuro shouted as he clapped his hands together and muttered. Kugatsu number jutsu, and suddenly the creepy puppet no as Karasu jumped to its feet and stood like a normal human. Then Kankuro flexed his fingers a bit and Karasu stretched out its arm, opened its hand and shot out a burst of Senbon. Naruto jumped to the side to avoid the attack. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto shouted, forming his famous hand sign and creating one clone. The clone then started to move its hands above the real Naruto's hand and began to channel his chakra until it was a perfect sphere. Rasengan. Naruto shouted as he ran and shoved the glowing sphere of chakra into Kankuro's chest, sending bits of him flying everywhere. To say Naruto was shocked would be an understatement, but before Naruto could say anything, all of Kankuro's body parts turned into puppet parts, to be more exact, Kuroi's puppet parts. He used his other puppet as a replacement now. Where is he? Naruto thought as he jerked his head around looking in every direction trying to find Kankuro. Good he didn't see me. Kankuro said to himself as he crouched behind an AC unit on top of a nearby building. Naruto stood there still looking for his opponent when a kunai grazed his cheek. He turned to see that the puppet Karasu was flying towards him. If that thing is still moving, then he has to be close. Naruto thought as he formed the hand sign for his trademark jutsu again. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto thought, creating 10 clones. Okay guys, you distract that thing while I find makeup face. Naruto shouted. Right. All the clones shouted in unison as they ran at the puppet. Which one is the real one? Kankuro thought angrily as he continued to destroy the Naruto clones. As he was about to pop another clone, he felt a metal object press up against his throat. Game's up. Make up. Dude, Naruto said. How? Kankuro shouted. Well, before I got here Baki said not to tick you off, so I made a clone and told it wait on a nearby building to use as a replacement in case I did tick you off. So during the fight with your puppet and after I use the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. I also use the Kawarimi no Jutsu, while there was still smoke, so the smoke from the replacement would blend in with the Kage Bunshin smoke. So while my clones and your puppet fought, I looked for you, and the rest is where we are now. HMPH. Fine Uzumaki, you win. Kankuro said as he released the Kugatsu no Jutsu. Wow, that was a pretty well thought up plan. Temari thought as Kankuro picked up the pieces of his fallen puppet. It's going to take me all night to repair Kurori. Kankuro whined. Just then Baki returned. I'm back from my meet. What happened here? Baki asked. Uzumaki over there beat Kankuro in a fight. Temari said. Really? Impressive. But in reality Baki had been watching the whole fight from the Cage's castle. This kid is good, it's going to be real fun training this one. Baki thought. Anyway, we have a mission tomorrow, so meet me by the northeast gate at noon. I'll explain more tomorrow. You're dismissed. Baki said as he disappeared again. Damn it, he busted the firing module, the separating device, he cracked the head in two, and Kankuro went on and on about all the parts Naruto had broken from the time they left the training ground to the time Kankuro and Temari had gotten home. Shut up, would ya? Temari thought, annoyed at her younger brother's whining. Oh well, I guess it gives me something to do. Kankuro muttered as opened the door to their house. Want me to fix you something to eat? Temari asked as she walked into their kitchen. Hee no thanks, I'm not hungry, yeah that's it, anyway good night. Kankuro said rather quickly as he dashed up to his room, broken puppet in hand. That was close. Kankuro thought as he sat down on his bed. Note to self. Never eat anything Temari makes, ever. Maybe I should tell Naruto that her cooking is disgusting, or I could let him find out, Kankuro thought mischievously, but am I really that bad of a person? Yes I am. The next day at the northeast gate. Alright you three, our new missions is this. One of our best medical nin defected the village last month and was recently spotted near a megakure. Our mission is to find him, detain him and find out why he defected and if possible bring him back. This is a B class mission. Baki finished. Wait a minute, a B class mission? Why's this a B rank mission? Kankuro asked. Because, not only is he an awesome medical ninja, but he is powerful in ninjutsu and genjutsu as well. Plus we don't know if he is traveling alone or not. So what is his name? Temari asked. Sudarusu is all he is known by. His has short white hair, green eyes and an X-shaped scar over his left eye. As for cloths, he most likely ditched his old ones. Now let's move out. Baki ordered. Hi, Kankuro, Temari and Naruto shouted in unison. The rain was coming down hard as it always does in a megakure as four figures left the village. I hate rain. One of them muttered. Shut it Takaru Baka or the boss will kill you. Another one said. The first one, known as Takaru, was a tall male who was about 15, wearing a cloak to shield him from the rain. His black hair was slicked back. He liked his hair and hated the rain because it messed it up. Under the cloak he wore black long-sleeved shirt with a black vest and a pair of black dress pants with the basic ninja gear. He had a lot of strange wires running up and down his arms and a kumo headband with a slash on it tied across his forehead. The other, who told Takaru to shut it, was a girl about Takaru's age with short orange hair with blue eyes. She was very pretty but very tomboyish in appearance. She wore a black top and bandages running up and down both arms. She wore a cloak as well, but not for the same reason as Takaru. She wore a pair of black pants. One of the pant legs had been cut off right at the knee while the other went all the way down to her ankle. She had no headband to signify where she was from, and her weapon of choice was a wooden katana. What's the matter, Keiko-chan? Still mad that I slaughtered that one guy who said you were cute? Takaru asked with a sinister smile. Keiko jerked her head the other way to hide her small blush. Baka, I was just telling you that because our new client is a little moody. He wants to get as far away from Suna as he possible can. Keiko whispered. You both should stop talking. Zabuza-sensei would be very mad if we screwed this up, said the third member of the party. Quiet yourself, Haku. Just because you're Zabuza-sensei's first student doesn't mean you can boss me around, bitch. Takaru sneered. I think you all should be quiet, said the fourth and final member of their group. Hi Sudarusu-sama. They all said together. As the group continued to walk away from Omegakure, Haku had a look as if she was thinking about something. Keiko, noticing this, de-iced to ask what she was thinking. Hey Haku, whatcha thinking about? Nothing, Haku said quickly. Oh come on, you can tell me. Keiko continued, nudging her in the arm. Fine, I was just thinking about a boy I met while on a mission with Zabuza-sensei a year ago. Oh really? Keiko gave Haku a sly smile. Was he cute? What's his name? Haku began to blush a bit. His name is Uzumaki Naruto and I guess he's alright. How strong was he? Keiko asked. Before Haku could speak, a kunai shot past them. Everyone looked ahead of them to see a figure wearing a black cloak. Address yourself, stranger, Takaru shouted. The figure just stood there and raised one of his arms, and a blast of Senbon shot out of his arm. Haku, acting quickly, threw her own Senbon to cancel out the attacker's weapons. You're pretty good if you can block Karasu's attacks, came a voice out of nowhere, but now you're surrounded. Haku and the rest of her group looked around to see that they were indeed surrounded by 4 people and 4 more in the trees. What do you want? Keiko shouted. We want the man you are escorting, came a gruff voice to their right. And if you don't give him up, then we're going to have to kill you, came the voice of a girl. And we really don't want to do that, came the voice of a boy that sounded familiar to Haku. Takaru looked down at the ground and then began to laugh like a maniac. What's so funny? One of the people in the trees said. I love it when you people talk like you're going to win. It makes me want to kill you even more, Takaru shouted as he waved his arms towards the trees. The people in the trees felt weird, as if they were being wrapped up by strings, and then all of a sudden they split into many pieces, but as the pieces fell to the ground they made a poof sound and smoke faded away. Cage buncheons. Hey, wonder how many this person can make, Takaru thought. How did you destroy the clones? The boy asked as the group jumped away from Haku's group to get some distance. Do you want to know? Well then let me kill you and I'll tell you. Oh, and by the way, what is your name? I always like knowing the name of the people I kill so I can check and see in my bingo book if you're worth any money, Takaru said as he flipped out a small book. I'm Uzumaki Naruto and I'm going to kick your butt, Naruto shouted. Haku's eyes widened, as did Kiko's. Let's see, Takaru said as he flipped through the book. Nope, never heard of you, but still I'm going to kill you. As for how I killed your clones, I use these special wires as whips that are infused with my chakra, making them razor sharp. They can even cut through steel as if it were a hot knife through butter. There are other uses as well, but they are not needed on such weaklings. Then an eerie sound filled the air. Haku's group looked up into a tree to see a man jumping at them very fast with his hand encased in wind. The K's no Yaba. Oh shit, they sent Baki after me. This could end badly for me, Sudarusu thought as he tried to jump away, but the jutsu hit his arm, ripping most of it off. Ah, you brats protect me. I'm not paying you to stand around and do nothing, Sudarusu shouted as he tried to run away, but a new person stepped in his way. Who the hell are you? The figure said nothing. Instead it raised its cloak, revealing it to be Kurori. The puppet's chest then opened and many chakra wires shot out and wrapped around the man and dragged him into the belly of Kurori, but instead of ripping the man apart, which was the basic use of this jutsu, Konkuro had the puppet come back to him with the man inside the puppet. I'll take the puppet, user, Takaru said as he ran after the puppet. Kamedachi no Jutsu. Temari shouted as she shot a giant gust of wind at the retreating form of Takaru, but the blast of wind was intercepted by a blast of chakra, canceling the attack. Temari turned to her right to see Keiko with her wooden sword drawn. I am your opponent, not Takaru-kun. Chakra Bakuhatsu no Jutsu. Keiko shouted as she pointed her sword at Temari and shot another blast of chakra from it again. Temari shot another gust of wind to block the attack from the orange-haired girl. Meanwhile, Naruto was standing a few feet away from Haku, ready to attack when she spoke. It's been a while, Naruto-kun. Haku said as she removed the hood from her cloak to show her face. Naruto couldn't believe it. Ha! Haku, is that you? Naruto asked. Yes, Naruto, it is me, but it appears yet again we are enemies. Why are you wearing a Sunagaker headband? Haku asked. I was kicked out of Konoha, let's just leave it at that. So where's Zabuza? He should be here soon. And if on cue a thick mist started to roll in, blurring their vision. Haku, I don't want to fight you, I've gotten a lot stronger since our last fight. Naruto said seriously. I have gotten stronger as well, Naruto. Haku said just as serious. Then let's make a deal. If you can take my headband off my head, then I'll give up and so will my squad, but if I beat you, you have to come back to Suna with me. I accept your challenge, but what if you win? Can Zabuza-sensei and the rest of my squad come too? Haku asked. Sure, I am friends with the Kazekage and my godfather is the head of one of the strongest clans in Sunagaker, so I'm sure they'll be able to get in too. Now let's fight. Naruto said as he pulled out a set of shuriken and launched them at Haku. She reacted by making an ice wall blocking all of the deadly projectiles. Makio Hyo Sho. Haku shouted. The ice mirrors began to form around Naruto, who didn't move from where he was standing. Haku then entered the mirrors and her image began to appear in all of the mirrors. Naruto looked at all the mirrors, waiting for Haku to make the first move. Meanwhile, Kankuro was having a hard time dodging Takaru's attacks since they were almost impossible to see. Come on out, Sabaku no Kankuro, and let me have some fun. Takaru said in a creepy voice as he scanned the area for the hiding puppet master. Then a kunai grazed Takaru's cheek. He turned and lashed out with his wire whips in the direction that the kunai had come from. With luck, Kankuro was able to dodge all of the wires except one that cut his cheek. Takaru retracted his wires and saw the small bit of blood on one of them. It seems I've hit you. Now die. Takaru yelled as he swung his wires again in the direction only to come up with nothing but slicing a log into pieces. I am really getting tired of this, come on out and fight. Then Takaru felt something grab him from behind and started to crush him. It was Karasu, and Kankuro began to increase the power to crush him faster, but it seemed that Takaru was pushing back, so Kankuro increased the power only to have the same results until Karasu's arms shattered and dropped Takaru back onto the ground, but he didn't get up. Apparently he was exhausted and looked like he had used a lot of chakra to push out. That was a dirty trick. Hey, just my style. Takaru said as he panted. But it seems you and I are at a standstill. Kankuro stood from where he was hiding and laughed. Actually, I can keep fighting even if Karasu's arms are destroyed, watch. Kankuro began to move his fingers and the head of Karasu detached. Parts on the head began to move around until a large blade was sticking out of the mouth covered in poison. Ha, you can fight even if your weapon is broken. That is one useful tactic, my friend. Grudgingly I give the victory to you. Takaru said as he started to fade into the mist that was now covering the area and vanished. Chakra Bakuhatsu no Jutsu. Kamedachi no Jutsu. Both attacks from the Kunoichi cancelled each other for the sixth time in a row, and both of them seemed to be reaching their limit. Time to end this, Temari thought as she bit her thumb and spread the blood across her fan. Kuchios. Kurikiri mai. Temari shouted as she waved her fan and summoned the summoning weasel Kamatari. The weasel flew at Keiko with a giant gust of wind in tow. Sadai Chakra Bakuhatsu no Jutsu. Keiko shouted as a blast of chakra shot out of her sword 10 times bigger than the first couple of shots. And like the other times, the attacks cancelled each other, resulting in a huge explosion, knocking both kunoichi back and knocking them out. Naruto's headband was now around his neck after a failed attempt at stealing his headband. He was gathering his chakra for his next attack. Haku, seeing this, threw a barrage of Senbon at him. All of them hit their target, but he didn't move. He then bit his thumb and started flashing through hand seals and slammed his hand into the ground. Kuchio's no Jutsu. Naruto shouted as he slammed his palm into the ground, creating a large puff of smoke. However, Naruto knew something was wrong. Why wasn't he being lifted into the air? How come the ice mirrors didn't shatter? How come he couldn't feel the warty skin of a toad beneath him? His questions were answered when the smoke cleared and he stared blankly down at Gamakichi. Naruto shouted loud enough to alert every living thing in a 3-mile radius. Haku had a look on her face that said, "What was the point of that? Hey, not so loud, kid, so what's going on?" Gamakichi asked as he looked around at the ice mirrors. Gamakichi, not to be rude, but, "What the hell are you doing here?" Again with the shouting. Sheesh, well, Gama Chujutsu isn't feeling in tip-top shape and Pop was busy, so I came instead. Hey, don't give me that look, it was either me or Gamatatsu. Gamakichi said. Naruto sighed. Oh well, at least I have the Rasengan. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto thought as he created a clone and it began forming the Rasengan, but suddenly it stopped forming and blew up in his hand, causing the clone to pop and Naruto to collide into one of Haku's ice mirrors. Nani? Naruto shouted as he picked himself up. It seems that old poison is staring to take effect. Haku thought as she readied another barrage of Senbon. How come the Rasengan failed? Naruto thought. Hey Gaki. Remember when she hit you with those Senbon? Well, they were covered with a type of poison that I haven't seen in a long time. The poison attacks your chakra network and slows down your chakra flow by a great deal. Probably the reason your Rasengan failed was that your chakra didn't mix right and backfired. The poison itself is simple to make, but removing it is another matter. It might take me a while to remove it from your network, so bear with me. Kyuubi growled, with a hint of annoyance in his voice. Great. Oh well, just think of what bushy brows would say. The flames of youth burn bright within you. Number not that. Guy sensei. Not that either. I will beat you with willpower alone. Now that's more like it. Naruto thought as he pulled out his katana from his sheath and stood in the Chuden no Kame stance. Hey, I'll have to thank Shu-chan when I get back for teaching me the basics of Kenjutsu before we left. This shouldn't be too hard. Futon. Datapa. Baki shouted, unleashing the devastating blast of wind in the direction he had last seen Zabuza. Both Baki and Zabuza had dealt each other minor wounds and both shinobi's patience were growing thin. Oh, how I wish I had my Zanbato. Zabuza thought as he remembered the fight back on the bridge where he had used his sword as a mock shield against Kakashi's Reikiri, shattering it in the process. Then Zabuza felt a presence behind him. He looked behind him and saw Takaru carrying Keiko bridal style. You lost, huh? Zabuza muttered in a low growl and at the same time unleashing a small but effective amount of killer intent. Takaru let a small gulp to be heard from his throat. Hi Zabuza-sensei. I'm afraid the puppet master caught me off guard. But Keiko was able to defeat her opponent, but she was knocked out in the process. I'll go back and try to get the client. Takaru said as he put Keiko down and prepared to jump off, but he felt a hand grab his shoulder. He turned around and saw that it was Zabuza. No, forget him, I need you for something else. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Oh shit. Naruto kept chanting in his mind as he again tried to dodge another rain of Senbon from his opponent, deflecting some with his katana. Hey kid, your chakra network is all cleaned up. Now please end this. She's turning you into a pin cushion again. Kyuubi growled. Right. Naruto shouted. Making a clone, Naruto began to form the Rasengan and charged one of the ice mirrors, but Haku saw this and launched a hail of Senbon from the mirror Naruto was heading to. Shit. Not enough time to dodge. Naruto thought as the Senbon neared closer and closer, but then a black figure stepped in front of the hail of Senbon and took the full blow. At this Naruto lost his focus and the Rasengan dissolved. The black figure tried to get off of the ground but quickly fell back down. Naruto ran over to the figure and moved him onto his back. It was Kankuro. Kankuro-san, why did you do that? A shocked Naruto asked. Kankuro moved his head to look at Naruto. I don't know, I guess I just felt like I owed you something, so why not pay you back now, Kankuro said. Owed me, Naruto. Because of what you did for Gaara. Kankuro paused as he winced in pain. He's no longer a hateful mess, he's sane and is trying to help the villagers now instead of killing them, and for that Sabaku no Kankuro and the entire village of Sunagakure is grateful to you. Now beat this guy so we can go home. I think I'll take a nap now. Kankuro muttered as he fell asleep right then and there, snoring quite loudly. Naruto's eye twitched slightly before facing Haku again and standing up. I don't care what Gamabunta is doing right now, he just got a new agenda. Naruto shouted, biting his thumb and started flashing through hand seals, slamming his hand onto the ground. He shouted, Kuchio's no jutsu. And that was followed by an earth-shattering crash, along with the shattering of Haku's ice mirrors. Said ex-hunter Nin was sent flying into a nearby tree, knocking her out on contact. What? Where the hell am I? Came the booming voice of the chief toad, Gamabunta. Gamabunta looked to the top of his head and found our favorite blonde ninja along with Gamakichi, and a black thing Gamabunta guessed was a bag of some sorts. Thanks for the help, Chief Toad. I really appreciate it. Naruto shouted his thanks as he does everything else. Whatever. Gamabunta then began to look around the area. Not seeing what he was looking for, he looked back up to Naruto. Why have you summoned me? Gamabunta asked, shouted. Well, yeah. See, I was fighting this girl who had trapped me in a house of ice mirrors and I couldn't get out, so I summoned you to break me and my friend here out, Naruto said with a nervous grin on his face. Gamabunta gave Naruto a long hard glare and then puffed back to the summoning realm along with Gamakichi. This will not end well, ah! Naruto shouted as he fell from where he had been standing on the toad and smack dab into the same tree Haku had fallen into. Naruto grunted as lifted his head and looked up only to have the still asleep Kankuro to fall right on top of him, knocking Naruto and Kankuro further out of the tree, resulting in a head plant on the cold, hard and unforgiving ground. I hate gravity. Naruto shouted as he painfully got up off the ground but was slammed right back down by a powerful force. Naruto looked upward into the pitch-black eyes of the one known as Takaru. Ahahaha. Haku couldn't beat you. I hope you're ready to die. Takaru shouted as pulled a kunai and jabbed down towards Naruto. Enough. Could be heard all throughout the battlefield, followed by a gall of wind that blew away all the mist in the area. Everyone in the area turned their eyes in the direction the wind had came from and saw 5 figures. The figure in the middle of the group began to clap as he walked forward. That's enough, Naruto-kun, you did very well. Came the voice of the man in the middle. As he got closer, Naruto could make out who it was. Shu-chan, what are you doing here? Naruto asked as he pointed at his godfather. Hey, well, the council wanted to see what you could do, so 2 members of the council, the head ninja, the captain of the Anbu Black Ops, and I set up this little mission for you and your new squad. What do you mean, set up? The recently awakened Temari questioned. Well, basic protocol says that no missing nin, or in Naruto's case, a ninja without a village to serve, cannot join the village without first undergoing a test. Most tests are simply just a skill challenge. using the jutsu they know, and if he or she passes the test then they will be accepted into the Suna Shinobi program. And I think you passed, wouldn't you say, Sudarusu-san? Said man appeared right beside Shujiki. Hi Shujiki-sama, but I thought you said you weren't going to send Baki. He's insane and he's lucky the arm he hit with his jutsu was my prosthetic puppet arm. Sutarusu said as he tapped said arm, making all that was left of the arm come back to where it should be. I had to make it convincing. Baki retorted. Anyway, since you passed Naruto-kun, you are now officially a shinobi of Sunagaku. Shujiki shouted, giving a thumbs up. The council members sighed at the antics of the clan head. Now for the next order of business, Shujiki said. You there, Momochi Zabuza, come down here. Zabuza was shocked. How did he know he was here? Zabuza did as he was told and slowly walked over to Shujiki. Momochi Zabuza, A-class criminal, master of the Muon Satsujin Jutsu, killed his entire graduating class before he was even a ninja, ex-member of the Kiri no Shinobigatana Nananan Shu, ex-captain of the assassination squad of the Anbu, and excels in Sweden Jutsu. I must say, Momochi-san, these are some impressive credentials. You're hired. Huh, Zabuza muttered. You see, after the incident at Konoha we are very short on jonin and manpower, and we would like you to employ you as a jonin in Sunagaku. You will have double the average pay of a jonin until we are back on our feet, and after that you will be free to go, but you can stay if you feel you don't want to leave, and of course your charming little students can also join. All there of them have proven themselves and will be placed as genin and will be given a chunin salary out of my own pocket, so what do you say? Shujiki asked as he stuck out his hand. Zabuza looked Shujiki hard in the eye and took his hand, shaking it hard. You got a deal, Shujiki-sama. Zabuza said. Excellent. Shujiki shouted as he bit his thumb and flashed through hand seals so quickly even the jonin had trouble making them out. Kuchio's no jutsu. Shujiki shouted, slamming his hand onto the ground. Naruto braced himself for the impact, but it never came. When the smoke cleared, Naruto looked up and he found out why. What he had summoned was already flying. It was a giant Chinese dragon, with pure white scales and gold horns. It had a look of elegance and at the same time ferocity and slightly feminine, well, as feminine as a dragon can look, I guess. The extravagant beast looked up to the man on its head, saying, What is it that you need, darling? The giant dragon asked. Hello Kazetsume. We need a quick trip back to Suna, okay girl? Shujiki said. And that concludes my report. Shikamaru said with a sigh. Shikamaru's squad, consisting of Lee, Neji, Ino, Choji, Kiba with Akamaru and Sasuke, had just returned from another mission searching for Naruto. This time they were searching near Iwa territory, but no luck. Tsunade had a very sad and depressed look on her face. It had been about 4 months now since Naruto was chased out, and she was getting even more worried as the days went on. Where to next, Hokage-sama? Kiba asked. She looked up at him and sighed. There is no next. Bu. But before she could continue, Kiba shouted. What are you talking about? We're going to find Naruto, so, bang. Kiba hit the ground with a thud. Baka. She's not finished. Ino shouted as Kiba held his head in pain. Troublesome. Please continue, Hokage-sama. Shikamaru said. Tsunade laced her fingers and leaned on her desk. All of you excluding Shikamaru will be taking part in the Chunin exam next week. She said. What? I didn't know the exam was happening. From what I heard, it wasn't going to take place this year because of the damage we sustained from the Oto-Suna invasion. Shikamaru said with a confused look on his face. That's only part true. The exam isn't taking place here, it's taking place in Kumo. Who cares? Kiba shouted. We're still looking for Naruto. We can worry about becoming Chunin later. Silence. Tsunade shouted. Kiba shut his mouth. Now please keep your mouths shut until I finish. Now think about it logically. If Naruto has joined another ninja village, Don't you think he might just be at the exam? This got them all thinking, but Ino raised her hand. But Hokage-sama with Shikamaru being a Chunin were short a teammate, so how are we going to compete? Ah yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Enter please. Tsunade said. Shikamaru's squad turned around to see the new person who had just entered the room. He looked about 14 with tannish skin, black spiky hair that stuck up everywhere. He wore a tan vest hoodie over a black t-shirt. He wore red cargo pants, brown leather gauntlets on each hand, a black pair of ninja sandals and his Konoha headband hanging from his belt. But the most noticeable feature of this boy was his Hyuga eyes and the caged bird seal that was on his forehead, uncovered. Ino, Choji, meet Reiken Hyuga of the branch family. Reiken, meet your new teammates Ino Yamanaka and Choji Akamichi. Tsunade said. Yo. Nice to meet you too. Reiken said, sticking his hand out for a handshake. Hi. Nice to meet you, Reiken-san. Ino said, taking his hand. Why don't you tell them about yourself, Reiken? You know, likes, dislikes and so on, Tsunade said. Sure. I am Reiken Hyuga. My likes are American music, fried rice, training and reading manga in my spare time. My dislikes when my little sister Haim spoils a book or manga before I can read it, my sister pulling pranks on me, when someone hurts my sister and Suna. This caused a few eyebrows to rise from the group gathered. And my hobbies are reading and inventing new styles for the Jukin. Reiken finished. Thank you, Reiken. Now you all leave tomorrow. Oh, and Sasuke, this is your new teammate Sai. Tsunade said as the boy named Sai appeared in the room out of the shadows. He had very pale skin, black hair and eyes, a black halter top that showed of most of his stomach, black ninja pants and a small tanto on his back. Go find Sakura and get to know him. HN. Was all he said as he left the room with Sai behind him. Alright, the rest of you can leave. Remember, you all have to head out tomorrow. Your senseis will meet you at the north gate and lead you to Kumo. I know taking the Chunin exams is up to the individual, but this is also a mission to try and find Naruto, and even if he's not there, ask around, because someone else might know of his whereabouts. Now go. Tsunade finished. Hi. The group chorused as they left the room. A week later in Kumogakure. Finally. Kiba shouted as Team 8 entered Kumo, followed by the new Team 10, the new Team 7 and Team Guy and several other ninja from different villages. Yeah, they just had to have the Munch Chunin exams at the village farthest. Munch from almost every village save a few. Choji said between fists full of chips. Tell me about it. Reiken mumbled. Mario thinks the Konoha ninja should stop bitching. Mario thinks it is annoying. Came a voice. The new rookie 9 and Team Guy turned around. The boy standing there was about 5'6" and around 14. He had teal blue hair in a very messy fashion, one green eye and a blue eye, a dark blue robe with a red sash tied around his waist with long sleeves that hid his hands, a pair of blue pants that matched his robes and a pair of black combat boots, a pair of large broadswords strapped to his back and a kusagaker headband tied around his right leg. There were two other people behind him. One was a girl who looked about 14, standing at about the same height as Mario. She was very beautiful despite the many scars that covered her face, obvious signs of a fierce battle she had barely survived. Her hair was about shoulder length, straight and black as pitch with eyes just as black. She wore a halter top that was blood red, a pair of black shorts with a mini skirt combo that were also black, a pair of black fingerless gloves, basic ninja gear and her kusagaker headband tied around her slim waist. The other was a teenager that stood at about 6'6". He was handsome with a strong jaw and a lean figure. He wore a black leather eye patch that covered his left eye with a jagged scar that run from the top of his left eyebrow down to his top lip. His other eye was a dark brown, almost black. His hair was dark brown that he kept hidden under a black bandana that held his kusagaker symbol. He wore a camouflage trench coat and a black shirt under it. he wore a pair of brown cargo pants and a strange black cylinder case on his back. Oh yeah? Well, who asked you? Kiba shouted, a tick mark on his forehead. This one interests Mario. What is this one's name? He asked, tilting his head to the side. Name's Kiba Inuzuka and this is my pal Akamaru. Bark, bark. This one's name is Mario of Kusagakur and this one is Eshiku of Kusagaruk. He paused as he pointed at his male partner. And this one is Ray-chan also of Kusagakur. Mario finished pointing at the girl. Don't go giving my name without permission, Mario. The one known as Eshiku growled in a deep voice. Mario does not care what Eshiku says, Mario does what Mario feels like doing. He said matter-of-factly and clearly not intimidated. He then turned his attention back to the group. Mario is curious, is Kiba taking the Chunin exam like Mario and Squad are? Hell yeah I am. Good. Then Mario looks forward to cutting Kiba into pieces. Mario bids Kiba farewell. Mario said with a slight bow and then he pushed past Kiba and the rest of the group and disappeared into the crowd with his teammates behind him. Well then, Kakashi started as he put away his little pervy book. The other Jonin and I are going to go drop off your papers and find an inn for you guys. Be at the Kumo Academy in an hour and please try not to get in any trouble, alright? Kakashi said as he and the other Jonin walked towards the Kumogakure Ninja Academy. Well Kiba, you managed to get a crazy rival before we even got there. Aren't you lucky? Raken said patting Kiba on the back. Shut up. Huh. Hey, isn't that Kankuro? Kiba pointed towards what looked to be a ramen shop where Kankuro was indeed sitting outside of it mumbling as he stared at his apparently empty wallet. The Rookie 9 and Team Guy walked over to the moping Kankuro. Hey Kankuro! Kiba shouted. Kankuro looked up from his wallet and stared at them for a bit before looking back to his wallet and mumbling a small sup. Geez, what's your problem? Anyway, where's Gaara and your sister? Kiba asked. Kiba, Gaara is Case Cage now, so that means they have a new teammate. Shino explained to his teammate. Oh yeah, so who is? Man, that was good, thanks for buying Kankuro. Came a voice from inside the ramen bar. The person that shouted exited the building, resulting in a gasp from the entire group of Konoha ninjas save a few. In front of them was none other than Naruto Uzumaki, decked out in new clothes such as a black sleeveless trench coat with the Uzumaki swirl on the back and under it a bright orange t-shirt with a picture of the nine-tailed fox on it, depicted as if he were about to pounce at an enemy, also a black pair of cargo pants, black ninja sandals, his headband still around his forehead, he was now carrying a large scroll on his back and his katana over his left shoulder. Huh, guys. Naruto shouted in slight shock, but quickly got over it and walked up to them. He pushed past everyone else and walked straight up to Sakura. She looked away for a bit, but seeing as Naruto wasn't going to go away, she looked up at him. He had grown quite a bit since she last saw him, now standing about an inch or two taller than her. What? She asked, slightly uncomfortable at his staring. Sakura. I just wanted to. Naruto paused for a bit, everyone froze, wondering what he was going to do to her. Thank you. He finally finished. Everyone looked at him as if he had grown a second head. If you hadn't been so hateful towards me for bringing back Sasuke, I probably would have never found the family I have now. Naruto said softly. Naruto turned his gaze towards Sai. So, you're my replacement, huh? Be careful. Sakura and Sasuke aren't exactly the best teammates you could ask for. And with that he turned to Kiba and patted him on the back. Hey man, how ya been? So you've been in Suna the whole time? We sent a messenger bird there but they said they hadn't seen you. Kiba shouted. Naruto scratched the back of his head sheepishly. Well, I kinda asked Gaara-san if he would do that for me. I didn't want you guys to find me and take me back to Konoha. Why not? Ino asked, slightly switching with anger. They had been out searching for him for 4 months and the whole time he didn't even want to come back, now that made her mad. Because I didn't want to leave the family I found, like I said before. Naruto said with a big grin. Naruto ni-san. We're done. Someone shouted from inside the ramen bar. 10 people came out of the bar. The group recognized Temari, and Sakura and Sasuke recognized Haku, but the other 8 were people they had never met before. Okay, Mato Otuto. Alright everyone, time for intro. These 3 are my godfather's children, Mato Ryu, Kurisu Ryu and Aimi Ryu. And this is my Ryu, another member of their clan, Naruto said, pointing to each person as he said their name. Kurisu hadn't changed much. The only thing that was different was his new ponytail and a black glove with the Ryu clan symbol on it on his right hand. Mato hadn't changed at all, same thing with Mai. Aimi was dressed in a tan and light blue kimono fitted for battle with a light blue dragon design running up the front of it and a kodachi placed sideways on the small of her back with the hilt on her right. Sakura-san, Sasuke-tem, you remember Haku-chan, and these are her teammates Takaru-san and Keiko-chan. Haku's outfit had not changed except for her new Sunagaku headband. Takaru had on a tan leather jacket with a fur collar. His black hair slicked back into a ponytail at the base of his neck, a white shirt under his coat and a black bandolier used for carrying some small scrolls, and a pair of black dress pants. Keiko was now armed with 2 wooden katanas instead of 1, but other than that nothing new. And last we have Kuroi Kyukitsuki and Momo, Mato's teammates. Okay guys, these are my friends Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka, Choji Akamichi, Hinata Hyuga and her cousin Neji Hyuga, Shino Aburame, Kiba Inuzuka, Rock Lee and his teammate Tenten. I don't who the other Hyuga is or the pale guy. And the other 2 are Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto finished almost out of breath. Hey, the other Hyuga has a name and it's a damn good one, it's Raken. And the other guy is Sai. Raken added. Oh, sorry. Naruto said as he put his hands behind his head. Well, we better go get going. Come on, Naruto-kun. Temari said as she grabbed his ear and started dragging him off towards the Kumo Academy. But Temari-chan, I wanted to catch up with the guys. Naruto whined. Temari gave him a glare that would have made a normal man wet his pants. He gulped slightly, fearing what she might do to him later if he kept complaining. Let's just say it would have scared someone like Itachi very badly. Oh. Okay, Temari-chan. Well, I'll see you guys later. Naruto said as he and the other Suna 12 jumped off towards the exam. Well, I guess we better get going too. Raken said. Kumo Jonin Lounge. Kakashi giggled pervertedly as he read his favorite book. Guy was doing push-ups. Kurenai was reading a magazine and glaring at Kakashi every time one of his little giggle fits took place, and Asuma was relaxing while taking a drag on a cig. After signing their teams up and getting the reservations for each of their squads at a nice inn, there was nothing left to do but wait in the lounge until the end of the first exam. The group looked up as the door to the lounge opened and 3 Suna Jonin walked in. One was a tall man with a blonde mohawk and his Suna headband tied around his head to cover his eyes, the other they noticed as Baki, and the last one was Zabuza. Kakashi asked in slight surprise. Zabuza was now wearing the basic Suna Jonin outfit with his headband in the same position as his old Kiri one. He no longer wore face wrap and he had a new Zanbato. It was roughly the same size as his last one, but the metal was more of a blackish color and instead of only one sharp edge on the end, both sides were. Been a while, Kakashi. Zabuza said as he smirked. Sure has. So I see you're working for Suna, now that's interesting. Kakashi said as he continued to read. I remember the one with the drape over his face, but who's the blonde? Kakashi asked, flipping to the next page. His name's Keiji Ryu, his team's taking the exam as well. Zabuza said. Keiji Ryu, You're the one know as Genwaku Hurameki, 1. You use Ranpu, 2. Style Jutsu to blind your opponent, right? Kakashi said as he lifted his head from his book. Yes, you are correct. It's a pleasure to meet you, Sharingan no Kakashi. Keiji responded with a small smile. Nice to meet you as well. So Zabuza, you've got a team here as well? Kakashi asked as he returned his attention back to his precious book. Sright. Zabuza said as he leaned his Zenbato against the wall and flopped down into an easy chair. Baki leaned against the wall and Keiji made his way to the coffee maker and began pouring himself a cup. That's also very interesting. So Baki, right, how's it feel to have one of your students make it to Cage at such a young age? Kakashi asked. It doesn't really surprise me. Gaara's been strong since the day he could walk with less than a handful of defeats, but yes, I am proud to have trained him. He exhaled a sigh. I just hope his father is as proud as I am, Baki answered with a sad smile. I'm sure he is. So since Gaara's Cage, who's your new student? Kakashi asked. The smile on Baki's face turned from a sad one to more of a smirk. Oh, you know him. Baki responded, his smirk growing. The entire room was all ears now save the ones who already knew who it was. Can't wait to see the look on Kakashi's face when he tells him, well, what I can see of it. Zabuza thought, his grin matching Baki's. Really? What's his name? Kakashi asked, his head raised from his book and looking at Baki. Here's a hint. He was once your student. As soon as Baki was finished, everyone knew who it was, since Kakashi had only ever taken on one team and they knew the other two were in Konoha. Naruto. Kakashi shouted in shock.